First guy that I got coming up is a Dallas producer. This gentleman has had songs placed on 50 Cent's The Power television series. He was the 2016 XXL producer, if I'm not correct. I'm right, that's right. And man, he actually was 2016 Dallas producer. So man, y'all give it up to my man SikWitit. He's gonna come and drop some knowledge on you guys. And yeah, that's what we got.
How y'all doing today, man? Yo, I know it's a little early, most South by Southwest. I'm not trying to get to an event like until 3 o'clock. But did y'all do anything exciting last night? Yeah, no? Man, y'all gonna have to wait. Y'all gonna have to participate with me here, man, because I like to get people involved. But my name is SikWitit, producer out of Dallas, Texas. I've also produced for Snow the Product, Tadashi. Yeah, and I was the XXL freshman I did the XXL freshman ciphers as well. And it's an honor to be here. And before I go any further, I just want to throw a disclaimer out there. Anything that I talk about today is the views and opinions and ideas that are based off of my personal experiences. It's not law, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not something that is certain. I just base this information based off my journey, and hopefully it resonates with you, and maybe you can get something from it. So I'm gonna talk to you today about passion versus hobby. Can I get somebody to let me know, just maybe you can shout it out, what are some ideas, what are some things that you would consider a hobby? It could be anything. Yeah, what's up, man?
Riding a bike.
What was that?
Riding a bike.
Riding a bike. Great hobby.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Kayaking.
Kayaking, good hobby, yeah. Give me about two more.
Running.
Running is a good hobby, yeah.
Video game.
Video games are a great hobby. I'm unfortunately not a gamer, but I got a lot of friends that are hobbies. So I mean, a lot of friends that are gamers. But yeah, so I looked up I wanted to know what the actual definition of a hobby was, right? And it says, strong and barely controllable emotion, an intense desire or enthusiasm for something, right? It's something that you just like, I'm really interested in that. Why are those things hobbies? Because, yo, I like getting up and riding a bike. I like seeing the trees. I like taking a cool, you know what I mean? Just, it's something that you enjoy, but one thing that I realized about a hobby is that it's very, very short-lived. It's something that you want to do just every so often, not all the time. I want to give you an example of something that was a hobby for me. I used to work at Radio Shack. Anybody have a 9 to 5 here? Most people? Yeah? I used to work at Radio Shack and I was a salesman. And I realized like the first month that I worked there that I had the potential to be a really great salesman. So I started figuring out the ropes and how to sell and be great at it. I was only a part-time employee because I also was in college. But I realized, like, man, I can be great at this. So once I learned how to get my bearings on how to sell, I was great. I was winning awards. I was like, man, what else can I do to be better at this? I think this is something I might want to do forever. Because I was making so much money. I was making more money than most full-time employees working at Radio Shack. And if you didn't know, Radio Shack was a commission-based operation when they were in existence. So, man, I was great. I could sell cell phones and TVs and radios, and it was just amazing. I was making so much money. So in my spare time, I would be at the house, like doing research, looking at other stores, seeing what kind of stuff they were selling, looking at price differences, because it's something that I took a big interest in. I worked for Radio Shack for about 5 years, and about 3 years into it, I realized, man, I loved selling, but it's not something I want to do for the rest of my life. It's not something that I'm that passionate about. And so I realized the last 2 years of my job, I was dragging my feet. I was dreading going to work. I was like, man, this is not what that is. This is not what I want to do. And so when I realized that, I started thinking, like, what is it that I want to do? Because I had a lot of interest. I played basketball. I played football. I ran track. I know you can't tell. I'm a big guy now. But sports was something I was really interested in. And so I want you to bear with me, because this is all coming back to music, right? So once I realized that, I was like, man, what can I do? So I started trying everything I could get my hands on that interested me. Music was something that was always there. It was always in the background. It was something that I would do from time to time, but it wasn't something that I was extremely passionate about at the moment, right? And so I remember just thinking like, okay, I gotta figure this out. So I ended up getting another job, and at this other job, I became a graphics designer. I love to this day doing graphics. If you follow me, every graphic that you see posted on my pages is stuff that I do. I love doing graphics, but it was another situation where I felt like I like it, and it's very interesting to me, but I don't know that this is something I want to do full time. And so I remember while I worked this new job as a graphics designer, I started dabbling in music a lot more. I became an artist. I was a rapper. And I started doing like how many of y'all do this? Like you go to work early in the morning, you work all day, and as soon as you get home, the first thing is like, I'm gonna raid the refrigerator, I'm gonna go to Wendy's, grab some food, and I'm gonna hit the studio. That's what my life was. Every single day, I would come home and work on music. The weekend, all day Saturdays, my friends were out doing things like, yo, this music thing's really interesting. So what I did is I realized as the years were going by, I was like, man, I started developing more of a love for this thing called music. And I realized like, yo, I think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I realized that it started consuming every available moment outside of work. And then I started realizing work was just clashing with my dream. I started realizing this is my dream. This is something I want to do. So I remember leaving my job and saying, I'm gonna pursue music full time. That was a very scary situation because I knew that this was an opportunity for me to really, really embrace this music thing, really, really get out there, but I didn't know how, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I was very, very, very nervous, but I knew this is something that I was very passionate about. Right? And so I realized at that moment, okay, when I quit my job, this is no longer a hobby. This is something that I really have to give full effort to. Right? So now I'm in the midst of my full passion, right? So I'm gonna give you a list of hobbies versus passion in a minute so you can kind of get the difference of what I'm talking about. Passion is something that you're you want to do every waking moment. Something that you just have this uncontrollable desire to want to fulfill every time you're awake. But it requires a couple things. It requires a lot of work. I realize that. It's like, yo, I want to get started in this thing, this music thing, but I got to do a lot of work. I compare it to like athletes. You think of athletes. One of my comparison is a hobby versus a passion is that the hobby would be on the weekends going and play basketball with your friends. A passion would be playing in the NBA. Those guys work their entire life for something that they absolutely love and get so good that they're recognized by the NBA and say, we want you. You know, we grow up dreaming that stuff, but it's not a passion for us. It's a hobby. These NBA players, they work really hard to get to that status, right? And so I started realizing, okay, I've quit my job. If I'm really going to pursue music, pursue being a producer, what do I have to do? Right? I remember quitting my job and I'm like, yo, I'm so scared. What's the first thing I should do? I remember hopping on the internet. I remember searching anything that had to do with producing. Everything. Beat battles, conferences, websites. And I'm like, I got to learn this stuff. This is something that I'm not going to be able to just go in my studio, make beats, and then voila, I'm a superstar. I'm a super producer. So these are some of the things that I did. I searched ways to get exposure. I didn't wait for people to create opportunities for me. A lot of times, how many of y'all have had friends, or maybe you're the individual that says, man, they sleeping on me. Man, they ain't giving me a chance. I don't wait for people to give me chances. This is something that if I'm passionate about, I can't expect Marv to fulfill that for me. Marv, make a way for me. They're doing their own thing. Each individual has their own passion that they're trying to get, you know what I mean, for themselves. And so for me, I recognize that early. You'll have people along the way sometimes help you, but this is something that I want for me, for myself, for my family. So I'm not waiting for opportunities. I had to define within myself what success was. Because just the average producer making beats, idolizing people like Timbaland and Pharrell and Dr. Dre, I realized that, yo, their level of success may not be my level of success. But I just know I want to be happy. I want to know I'm doing what I love, I'm getting paid for it, and I am happy. So I literally had to come to terms with what I felt was a successful, what was successful for me. So that way I wouldn't be beating myself up and saying, man, because it can be hard. You wake up one morning, you've been working on these beats, you've got folders from 2005, and it's just thousands and thousands of beats and ideas, and you're like, they're just on my hard drive. I'm trying to be like a Tim, I'm trying to be like a Ryan Leslie or you know, Quincy Jones, but man, it doesn't seem like I'm getting anywhere with this thing. That doesn't mean you still can't be successful. I started finding things for myself. It's like, okay, I take the little things and I enjoy those little things. I promote those little things. I champion those little things, because a lot of people forget, like, the journey is really important. I make those little things big successes for me because I think those are the things that keep me going. Of course, I have the big pie in the sky, right, that I want to attain. But I can't forget, all these little steps are very important, so I embrace those. Everything I did, choices, activities, conversations, trips I took, everything involved music. The moment I quit my job, I knew that was it. This was what I needed to do. So everything that was anything music or producing, it consumed me. It became priority, it became everything. Priorities are important. I know it's really hard for up-and-coming producers, especially if you have a family, and that family requires you to have a job. You know, you have benefits, you have to, you know, make a living for your job, for your family. But on the flip side, understand your priorities, and if producing is a passion for you, make sure that's really high on the priority list. I'm not saying they should overshadow your family, I'm not saying they should overshadow your job, but you need to make sure that they somehow all coincide with each other. Because it's going to be very difficult for you to move forward if you can't do that. For me, I stand here today, I quit my job in 2013, it's 2017 now, and I feel like my life and my career has been on a steady incline. Not because I'm the best producer, not because a whole bunch of people helped me out, it's because I really simplified it. I really took what I knew was really important to me, and I started doing a lot of little things to get to the top, to get to where I'm at right now. And for some people, they would say, but you're not at the top. To me, I'm at the top. I'm at my top right now, and I'm going to continue to grow. And so I want to encourage y'all to really, really identify within yourselves, like, yo, what's really important to me? And it's very critical that you be honest with yourself. Some of you producers in here will go on to be extremely successful producers because you learn to figure those things out. Some of you producers, and I'm not trying to crush dreams here, but some of you producers will end up being hobby producers. You got to understand your level, understand what it is you're trying to accomplish, where you're going, and what's priority. So I want to encourage you, no matter what, continue to be creatives, but really grasp a hold and be honest with yourself and say, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? How am I going to get there?